Hello everyone, this is Adam here. We're going to mount some Clearwater lights to our GSA. And if you look around, let's just kind of give you a little overview here. So this is the stock GSA uppers. These are alt-rider lowers. And there are different tube diameters all around here. There's also a Clearwater option where you can mount a light bar underneath your fairing there. But the problem with my setup is that the lights I'm mounting are a bit too heavy for the GSA. I take that back. If I was a touring rider, a road touring rider, the light bar is good for most of their lights. But for me, because I ride off-road, it's a little bit too much stress on the fairing. So they've recommended I use the crash bars to mount my lights. I already have the auxiliary lights occupied. I'm not going to be removing those. And so they've given me a few different options here. I want to show you what these different options are and how you can test fit. So I think I have 4 options present, but I'm going to go with 3 of them. You can see all these are labeled, B25, the B70, there's another one here somewhere. But basically, you look on the side here, the B25 is this 25 millimeter to 1 inch. It's coated on the side. And then you have the 1.25 inch of the B70 right there. They're all labeled, which is really nice. And the 19 to 20 millimeter here. This is what was on my old bike. And, even though it's only, a small difference, it does make a difference. And so I believe this is gonna be what I need for the upper crash bars. And I think this is what I'm gonna be needing for the lower crash bars. I have some lights over here. Before I get the lights mounted, you just wanna make sure that you're actually mounting these brackets the right way. And these brackets can go on before you mount the lights. So basically the topology of this setup is that you find the diameter that fits your crash bars or whatever you're mounting to, forks, etc. So another example here is my fog light Darla's had the, is it labeled? It just says GSW, which is the GS wet head R1250GS, which these are the fork mounted. So this is the fork diameter, lower forks. And so you just want to make sure first that you get the right diameter. After you've mounted these and tightened them down, Loctited these nuts, bolts. Then what you're going to do is you can see how this is here with a resistance washer. So after you get it all tightened down, then you're going to take your lights that are mounted into the bracket here, and you're just going to grab that nut and you're going to tighten this down to this. So really honestly, before you do any of this light mounting, you want to get all these brackets done. And the last thing I just want to show you, just to give you an idea where we are in the installation, if you look down here at the lower crash bars, you're going to see a cord right there. That's the Dixi power cord right there. And then if you look up top, you're going to see another cord right there. That's the Erica power cord up top dangling. So the wiring is complete. So pretty much what I've done, this is a video just on mounting, the wiring is all wrapped up. You have underneath the seat over here, you have the can opener, you have the power cord, you have 3 wires going back to the Billy brake light, that's done. And then you have your positive, negative leads going to the battery right here. There's a positive there and a negative over here. And then you have 1 or 2 data cables running through the frame of the bike to those 4 points right there. There's like a harness up here. Everything is, and as I showed in a previous video, everything is by basically frame under the fuel tank and then back up. Everything is there. And I will let you know this, before you put the bike back together after you've done your wiring, definitely plug in the lights, all 4, 5, 6, 7 of your lights, whatever lights you have, plug them into the wires. Make sure you power the bike on and then it works before you put all the plastics back together. Don't configure them. Don't configure them. Just make sure the lights come on when you engage the high beam. That way you know the can opener. You can use your foot and you can hit this brake lever right here to make sure the Billy brake light lights up. Just get all that done. I've done that already, so I know the lights work. Now I'm just going to mount them to the crash bars. You probably won't have the same problem as I am, but I'm trying to mount Clearwater's largest light array to the bottom of this bike, or to a place on this bike. These are too heavy for the upper crash bars. They must be mounted to the lowers. It's a problem. These are basically 4x4 lights. And so here's the issue. If I mount them out here, they don't hit, so full lock turn. They won't hit the fender with a full lock turn, but that changes, there's compression on that front fork. So if I'm diving into a turn and I am braking in a turn, I'm not supposed to do that, but it happens. And this is cornering ABS, so I've had to do it in a panic braking situation. This is gonna get caught onto this, get hooked into there, and possibly cause a safety situation. So what I did was I took this upper bolt here and I flipped it facing the other direction. So instead of having it facing this way, where it would be facing like that, well, the light would be the other direction. Let's do that. Well, like this. Flipped the other way. What I did was I flipped the mount facing backwards. And so what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to mount the light a bit more rearward like that. So now it's tucked into this crevasse here. Now you're going to notice that there's going to be a little bit of an issue with the header right there, but I think there's enough space, and most of the heat of this Euro 5 compliant bike is not the headers. Yes, they get very, very hot, but really most of the heat is generated behind the catalytic converter and the catalytic converter there. And so I think if I can make this cord, you're supposed to responsibly for installations allow for a little bit of a sort of a rain drip, so that way the rain doesn't go back into this connector here as it frays over time. I'm gonna have to come straight up, and so it's gonna be a little bit of a situation. Alternatively, I could mount it to the lower crash bar, but then it's even closer to the header. And so I had the same situation with that drip edge, whatever. Clearwater is a term for this. I know what it is, but it's eluding me right now. Lastly, I could mount it up here, but then it would be interfering with my turn signals. And again, safety first. So the way that the Dixi works, it's just like having a Darla fog light in the center that's always running at between 10 and 100% power, depending on your preference. And then this array, the 7-light array around the edges, lights up when you do the high beams. And so what I wanted to achieve is to forego running a Darla on my fork that was a yellow always on light, and instead have this light be yellow always on, unless I want to do high beam, and then it'll be 100% power and everything. So I still want it lower for conspicuity. I was telling the coworkers the other day that I pronounce it apothecary as opposed to apothecary. It's just the way so anyway, conspicuous, promiscuous. Anyway, I'm sorry, it's midnight. So I think pointing this mount backwards will set the Dixi far enough back to not interact with this front fender and give me what I need in order to mount it still low, but without getting in the way. For the other side of this Dixi install, I did want to call out something. As you guys, you may not know this actually, but the cylinder heads are differently. They're not perpendicular to each other because of the way the crank is designed on the Boxer. They actually sit a little bit offset. The 1300GS actually eliminates this problem. They are almost perfectly perpendicular, but the 1250 and older, the offset is there because of the crank design. And so the Dixi on this side has some problems. I had to mount it a little bit further inward. So the other one I had this mount coming right underneath the silver fairing. This one had to go a little bit more inward. And you'll also notice that the distance between the wire and the exhaust header is real, like uncomfortably close. And I also wasn't able to do a drip for this one. The Clearwater recommends that you have like a little bit of like a loop-de-loop that allows water to drip and not pool here, and also doesn't cause any stress on this. But I gave it some slack, so it does move, but I did not do a loop-de-loop because of how close that is to the header. I'm not really convinced this is a reliable solution. And then I had the wiring come up and then straight up here, and you can see how it differs from the other side, which was more of a drip line back there. It kind of comes down that way, and it's about an inch further away from the header than the other side. So this is down to my second knuckle for reference. And then I had this wiring coming down and up that way as opposed to up over. The issue would have been if I had mounted these Dixi lights face the opposite direction. If I had flipped this here to be facing forward and mounted this forward, they both would have been about 2 inches farther forward than they are now, which would have put them in the way of the front fender and front wheel under compression. So I kind of had to just go with this, which it is what it is. It's fine, but it is what it is. I would have preferred to have them not sitting as close to the exhaust headers. So I probably won't idle the engine with just building up heat if I can avoid it. And then if you look at them from this front, I'm actually okay with the front. I think that they're really like one direct hit on a log away from getting completely like owned. But if I lay the bike over, as long as I lay the bike over, not on a rock, but on a flat surface, it's asking a lot of you guys, knowing how I ride. But if these get laid over on a flat surface versus a rock, the lights will be fine because they're protected by the crash bars. But if I'm on mixed terrain and there are rocks in front of the bike and I lay the bike over, it's going to be a direct hit on these Dixi lights. And so I might end up in the future on the road somewhere under the motorcycle, removing these lights and putting them into a bag because they have been broken. And that's just something I have to take a risk on. They're not like, people have mounted lights like this, like PIAs for years, but this is not a touring bike, it's an off-road bike. So I just need to like be aware of that. But if you look at this motorcycle, where else do I put these lights? Because we're gonna put the Ericas and Sevinas up top. This is just a staging for now. And then these are gonna go down below. And I just don't know where else I could have put the Dixis. Because Clearwater recommends not mounting into the upper crash bars. And so if I can't mount them to the upper crash bars because they're too heavy, I don't really know where to put them. We'll see. We will see, guys. And then mounting them on the side over here, obviously they would be in all the way if I drop the bike. I'll put them over here somewhere. So nowhere else to put them. We'll just have to see how it goes. It's been about a week that our union rep here. Hi. Hey. 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 And we have this, so I actually had to order a different bar. I had to order, clamp. So I needed the crash bar mount for the 25mm 1-inch B25 because these are 1-inch diameter. And so we have the Sevina here mounted. I tried a few different options and I was starting up here, but then it really like casts a shadow behind the turn signal. I like it up there, but it just was too high. And so I tried it out here, but then I was trying to look at the depth of the how far out the crash bar goes. I like it here. It's protected a bit more from tip overs. So I would prefer it like it was on the GSA. The old GSA, the crash bar went down here where you could actually put the lights inside into the plastic fairing here, but that design has been changed. So now that upper crash bar doesn't go as far out. And so it's still hanging off farther than I would like it to, but we'll see. We're gonna put the other one up. We're gonna try it out. So you can pretty much mount this 25-1 wherever you want to on these crash bars, except for like here because you can't screw it in with the plastic. They won't go around the plastic. And it's the other side. So not quite a traditional installation, but as you can see, it runs inside of the width of the crash bar there on the bike. It's tucked in as much as I can get it. You want that loop to be nice and straight out so rain doesn't pull up towards the connector. So you want to give it a little bit of a rain place to go. I'll same with the other side. You can look how that rain connector, how it goes back. Well, I'll pull this down a little bit more. There we go. There's plenty of space so you can have that drip down a little bit. But all of these are pointing straight forward. We'll have to try it again when the bike's off the center stand, but it looks pretty good. And now we have to go underneath here. She's getting frustrated with me. And there's our connectors. So that one's already tidied up. I'm running zip ties behind the radiator and then up. And then I'll just clamp that in there. And then I'll put another one in here, going behind that little radiator arm right there with the A on it. We'll run the zip tie behind there and then straight up to that connector just to keep it from falling forward. And same for the other side here. This one's not done yet, but that'll have the same treatment. So here is the wiring underneath. So you have there and there and there, and that's it. That's all you got to do. On this side, I threw one extra on the inside as opposed to in the middle there, but same exact concept. Just have that wired up there. It's not really going to move much, but just keep it out of the way like that. And you're all set. Whew. Well, it's done. The lights are all installed now. We have Gumby waving hello. Hi, Hi, Gumby. Gumby's keeping things pretty good there. So what we have is we have on the driver's side of the motorcycle, we have a Sevina that's facing forward. This is the, we mounted that up to get it as far forward as possible, allowing us to then swing it inward towards the bike a little bit without touching that metal fairing right there. It's not touching it. And then on the bottom, we have that Dixi that's wired in. Again, swinging in a little bit, but also far enough away from the header to not cause any issues. I actually in the backyard, I turned this on for a little bit, and just after like a minute or two idling after being fully warmed up, I put my hand on the wire on that Dixi, and it's not hot. So we're good there. That header temperature is not that bad, and it'll be inconsequential completely when we're moving in e-speed. So that is the Dixi Sevina side. Let's go over to the Dixi Erica side. Same thing, this comes down, then it gets zip tied like this, so it lets the water drip down and comes inward. This is also facing down and slightly pointed outward, a little bit outward for seeing deer and stuff, because this is the driving light versus the spotlight. And then same thing below for the Dixi, coming down, drip line, and coming up that way. You look at it straight on, it's a little absurd. And of course it is. Of course it is. So here's what I did some testing, and at idle, and they told me that this would happen. This is not a surprise. At idle, it does drain the battery. So it goes from like 4.2, 4.3 volts down to like 12.9 within about a minute. So it will drain your battery completely if you turn these on high beam at idle. I will never do that, obviously. I tested it, and it is not good for the alternator. But if you have any RPM at all, like even just turning the throttle a little bit, it will maintain its voltage, no problem at all. You can see how both of these top ones are swung in a little bit. I wanted those to be off inside of the crash bar there. So we have, let's see, I think it's 10,000 lumens, 7,500, and 5,000. I think that was it. I want to say that's it. And then we have the auxiliary lights that are OEM mounted. Some people actually replace the auxiliary lights with two Ericas, but they hang out too far. This is not a touring bike. This is an adventure bike. So I want everything to be tucked inside as close to the frame as possible. And then, of course, we have the now known as mediocre headlight, the running light that's up here. Yeah, let's get the keys, and I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. We're going to keep the overhead lights on here, so that it's going to be loud anyway. So that should have just been the running lights. And that it's blinking on your camera, it's not blinking on mine. That's just a refresher of the camera. Auxiliary lights, and then the headlight obviously on. Let's see how it looks with just turned on. So all these are just 10% power right now. It's no strain on the battery at all. It has 10% power. That's a whatever power right there. I still wouldn't run this, but this is if I hold the TSC button down for a few seconds, it does that. I'll turn them off. This is the horn. This is solid for the horn. Now this is the horn strobe. Done. Now there's one thing I want to mention. It's that you'll notice in the video that these three lights in the middle of the Dixi are not lighting up. I'm aware of it, and Clearwater is aware of it. It's probably safe to say that this was an experimental harness that I'm running, and it's a bitch to get to. I got to remove all of this to get to the wiring connection for this can opener. What's supposed to happen is after a full factory reset of the can opener I have, when I turn the bike on, those three center lights should be running all the time at 10%. I can then adjust them just like I would an old Darla light. And then if I hold turn signal cancel like left or right for 5 to 10 seconds, it will turn that center light on or off. When I ordered this harness for these lights, I told them that basically they only kind of do 2 channels per can opener. And so I asked for one channel to be the Darla, the other channel to be the Dixis and Erica and Sevina on one channel. And therefore what that means is the Dixi, Erica, and Sevina, I can adjust the daytime brightness, the nighttime brightness. I can turn them on or off together by holding the turn signal cancel button down, or I can set them to be the strobe lights for the horn. And of course, high beam. The second channel was going to be the inner Darla channel. And for some reason, those aren't working. And after resetting the firmware and engaging the high beam, they should be turning on. They should also be running, and I turned the bike on itself. So basically, it's not working the way it should work. And they're troubleshooting the Clearwater. It's not done yet. They may end up troubleshooting it at the rally in Redmond, Oregon, in which case I'll just run it. Honestly, all I'm losing right now is one additional DRL. I have a DRL in the headlight. I have a DRL here in the auxiliary lights. I wanted one more DRL down here that was going to be yellow painted for conspicuity. I can never say that word. But right now I don't have that. And so I will have that, just it's going to be another month or so. But everything else is working fine, except for that one. But keep in mind, if you order these lights, I'm running a harness that's very bespoke, in that harness is supposed to power 2 Dixis, an Erica, and a Sevina. They don't sell that publicly. And so that's why I'm having some issues. But I'll get it sorted out, and I'll do a follow-up video. All right, everyone, thanks for watching, and ride safe.